Hi, this is DEDMan. Welcome to another episode of Expectations of an Avid Gamer. And today I'm going to be talking about the MegaMan 0 and ZX collection. So this isn't necessarily a new game, just like with the Bayonetta and Vanquish combo, but it is a remaster of sorts of MegaMan 0 for the Game Boy Advance, B1 through 4, and ZX and ZX Advent for the DS. I'm very excited to see what that's going to be like. I've never actually played through the ZX and ZX Advent, and I don't recall ever actually finishing MegaMan 0. I know I beat the first two. I think I played some of the third one, and I don't even think I touched the fourth one. So basically, it's fun. I do know that. It's a fun series. Probably my second favorite MegaMan series, the first one actually being Battle Network, which since Capcom is doing pretty good on the remaster front with MegaMan, because we have the MegaMan Legacy Collection 1 and 2, we have the X Legacy Collection 1 and 2, we have the 0 and ZX Collection. Honestly, all they really need to do to bring it home is bring in Battle Network. I will willingly buy like 5 copies of Battle Network, if not just to give to all of my friends or something, because I love Battle Network. I really want to see it. But, as per usual, I'm rambling. This is about MegaMan 0 and ZX. So basically, my only expectation is for this to just be good. You know, be a good remaster. I'm personally getting it on the Switch. I might get it on my PlayStation later, but I'm for sure getting it on the Switch first for, you know, the portability factor. Kind of ties into the old Game Boy aesthetic, if not freaking giant now. That's pretty much going to be it. I just want it to be a good remaster, and I do just want to definitely have fun with it. So that's going to be it for this one. Okay, so overall, this is really good. Currently, I'm at about the end of MegaMan 0-3. And so far, it plays really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This definitely lived up to the hype for me. The main menu looks really freaking cool, which, I mean, I guess it is just a menu to get to the games themselves, but the menu still looks really cool. And so I actually kind of have a small pros and cons list. I can't speak for every game, because obviously I said I was at MegaMan 3, or MegaMan 0-3, I haven't beaten all of them yet, but I do have a small list of pros and cons that I've seen so far. There's checkpoints. Okay, so most modern games have checkpoints, and even around the time that this game was made, there were games with checkpoints. I'm sure the game was trying to mimic the style of the OG Mega Man and Mega Man X, but replaying this game, I forgot how hard some levels can be. While I do love a challenge, not having to replay the entire level if you get murked is great. Also included with the game, there's a gallery. Now, that might not be a huge pro for most people, but for me, I love seeing the gallery. I love seeing concept art. I'm a very kind of... well, I'm not artistic, but I like art. So being able to see their concept art for the different characters, the different enemies, the different bosses, and seeing them, you know, draw out the scale of 0 to the bosses, and just overall getting to see the art style, which is beautiful, just getting to see more of that is phenomenal, and I really just can't ever complain about that. I love it. The gameplay is pretty tight. There are a couple of small issues with maybe being hit by shitboxes, but I also kind of have a problem playing games like this where if you get touched by an enemy, you just straight up take damage. I don't really like that, but that's a personal preference. That's nothing on this game. It's one of those things where I like the game so much that it doesn't really bother me all that much. I do believe they could have at least fixed some of the hitbox issues, but it's not a big deal. And as far as cons go, I just have a couple of them. I know, believe it or not, I actually am going to trash talk it. Not really, but, and my first con is just not very good button mapping. By that, I mean they just straight up transfer the Game Boy Advance controls directly over, which is good, but it means that you can't use the ZL or ZR button, and I opted to buy the Switch version for portability, but I don't think other versions offer this either. It's not that big of a gripe, and it does keep with the Game Boy Advance aesthetic, as there were no triggers, but there were shoulder buttons. But as many improvements as they've made to the game overall, it would have been nice to map my dash and sub weapons to the triggers. And that's mostly just because when you're holding a modern controller now, even if you're playing in portability mode like I do most of the time, it's still awkward to have to, heavily use the top two buttons with the way the rest of the controller is laid out. And, that's just if you're using the Joy-Cons that are attached to the side of the Switch while playing. That's not even talking about if you're using an actual controller. And then my other thing was there was no skippable cutscenes or load save states. So I actually wrote that down before I got to Mega Man 03. And that was actually something that was implemented in those games later on, was being able to skip cutscenes. But as hard as those games were, it would have been nice if they would have gone back and tweaked it to where you could at least skip the cutscene. Because the first one's really fucking hard. I don't think I grabbed a single sub-tank through the whole thing, and I was kind of trying to play it blind, like I did back in the day. So I know I could have picked up some sub-tanks to make my life a little bit easier, but I wasn't able to. Alright, well, I could have, but I didn't. And so just having to replay the same boss fight over and over and just like mash A and B in order to just skip to the next point so you could actually get to the boss fight, it was just it kind of sucked. They could have gone back and just added in the skip cutscene feature, and they might do that in an update. I'm not sure, but I think that would have helped, especially with the first two games, because there was a lot of times I got frustrated, not because I lost the boss fight, but because I had to go through all the dialogue again, especially because the boss I died to the most, I think, was the Zero copy at the very end of the game, especially because it has two phases. So you have to go through all of the dialogue for phase 1, battle, beat him, and then go through all the dialogue of phase 2, and then if you were dumb like me and still trying to figure out the boss's movements, now a lot of times I got hit by that ring and then just dropped straight down into the pit and died, which I probably could have used the Cyber Elf to get it. Well, no, you can't use the Cyber Elf to get out of that, because I would have had to go all the way back to my base and then remap that, which is, that's how that first game was, and that's fine. So just being able to implement that, or since the new checkpoints kind of act as small save states, because at any point you can push whichever button it's mapped to. On the Switch, it's mapped to the minus button, and you can just load the save state from any point. So at any point you can just load the save state from that checkpoint. So it would have been nice if maybe they had either implemented a saving feature that you could like tack on to the end of all their speeches and then get into the boss fight, or something. It's not a huge deal because to the best of my knowledge, the ZX and ZX Advent both have skippable cutscenes, so it's only the first two games this is an issue with. But it just would have been nice. But overall, I mean, I know I kind of went off on a tangent on the cons, but, I just wanted to give my opinions on those and how you could have fixed them better. Especially the button mapping thing. I've heard people talk about getting their hands cramped while playing the Switch. I've never actually felt that until playing this, just because of there's no trigger placement, so it's not more comfortable to use. But anyway, as much griping as I just did, overall, I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy we got a Zero collection. I was never super big into the original Mega Man. I probably would play Mega Man X. I've not actually played any of those. I do like the original Mega Mans, but I think out of all of the Mega Man iterations there have been, Zero would be my second favorite, and Battle Network would be my first. So I'm hoping, since we have a Mega Man Legacy Collection, Mega Man X Legacy Collection, Mega Man Zero Legacy Collection. I'm hoping the next one they're going to do is the Mega Man Battle Network and Mega Man Legacy. I think Legacy only had like 2 games, but it would still be really cool if they would release these, if they would keep releasing these older titles. God, especially Battle Network. I cannot tell you how fast I would throw my money at Capcom if they released a Battle Network Legacy Collection, or, you know, whatever they would end up calling it. But that's going to be about it for this one. I just had some thoughts on it. Wanted to share my opinions, and at least it's not like Vanquish, where, you know, after about 6 hours of playing, I was done with the game. I'm about halfway through the collection, and I'm still very happy with it. It's pretty good. I have some downtime at work, so it's always pretty good to just, you know, pick up, play a level or two. Sometimes if I have a longer stretch of downtime, you know, I can get through a couple of levels. But it's a nice pick up and drop game, even if it's not technically meant for that. With the portability of the Switch, it's a good pick up and drop game, and I kind of think that Mega Man works best on the Switch anyway, just because that's kind of where it came from. It's a Nintendo. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this review. I'm gonna do what one is next? I honestly don't know which one is next. Oh, One Step from Eden is supposed to be up next. So hopefully that game is good. Speaking of Mega Man Battle Network, it's supposed to emulate the battle style of Battle Network. Looks like it's going to be a little bit more frantic, though, so that's going to be fun to look at. So One Step from Eden is going to be the next Expectations of an Avid Gamer, and then the Vanquish Everything Great About should be coming out next week. That's going to be it for today. Try not to die out there.